For more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. Subscribe to Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos, and news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. The presidency has announced the appointment of Mr. Mele Kyari as the new Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC. Until his new appointment, Mr. Kyari, who is a geologist, was Group General Manager, Crude Oil Marketing Division of the NNPC, and also doubled as Nigeria's national representative to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, since May 13, 2018. A statement by the NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs, Mr. Ndu Ugamadu, says the President also appointed 7 new Chief Operating Officers. They are Roland Honoriade Ewubare, Upstream, Mustafa Yunusa Yakubu, Refining and Petrochemicals, Yusuf Usman, Gas and Power, Laurencia Nwadiaboa, Ndupu, Ventures, Adeyemi Adetunji, Downstream, Farouk Garba Said, Corporate Services, and Umar Issa Ajia is Chief Financial Officer. The newly appointed GMD and the Chief Operating Officers are to work with the current occupiers of the various offices until July 7th for a smooth transition on July 8th when their appointments take effect. To legal matters, the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal has adjourned the pre-trial hearing in the petition filed by the Hope Democratic Party to enable the party and its presidential candidate, Mr. Ambrose Oworu, respond to an application for change of counsel filed by a factional chairman of the party, Mr. Poland Tambra. When the sitting of the tribunal resumed today, the chairman of the tribunal drew the attention of the party to a motion filed on behalf of the party seeking to change its counsel. Justice Muhammad Garuba, however, adjourned to Tuesday, June 25th, for further hearing. The former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Olisa Metu, has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that the 400 million naira project fund for which he's standing trial was paid to him by former President Goodluck Jonathan and not the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, as alleged by the EFCC. Mr. Metu informed the court that the money which led to his arraignment by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on money laundering charges was paid to him by the former president to execute some national assignment for the federal government. Giving evidence on behalf of his company, Dextra Investment Limited, which is the second defendant in the suit, and the accounts where the 400 million naira was paid into, the former spokesperson for the party told Justice Okonabang that he could not consider the money for acts of any unlawful purpose because it came from the president, from the then president. Mr. Metu recalled that he held a meeting with the then president where various issues and challenges facing the country were discussed, adding that the former president promised to make the 400 million naira available to him to carry out the national assignment. He explains that the money could not have been for unlawful purpose because it was helping and contributing to stabilizing the then government because the president was elected on the PDP platform. Mr. Metu specifically dismissed allegations that the money was channeled to him through Colonel Dasuki. He asked the court to take a look at the list of disbursements carried out in cash and in check. Mr. Metu also dismissed the insinuation that the 400 million naira was meant to fund the PDP, adding that at the period, the PDP was rich to the tune of 33 billion naira, with 12 billion naira generated from sales of nomination forms and 21 billion naira raked from fundraising. Further cross-examination has been adjourned to June 24th, 25th, and 26th, respectively. Now, ahead of the governorship elections coming up in Kogi and Bayelsa states in November, the leadership of the People's Democratic Party has effected an upward review of the cost of its expression of interest forms for governorship aspirants from 5 million naira to 20 million naira. The decision to increase the cost of nomination form was part of the resolutions reached at the party's 86th emergency meeting held in the nation's capital, Abuja. The party proceeds from the sales of forms to aspirants will help it cover the cost of conducting free and fair primaries for aspirants. The PDP adds that it has set up an investigation panel to probe what happened at the National Assembly leadership elections, where some members of the party allegedly voted against the party's preferred candidates. More news now from the nation's capital. Ibrahim Adra is standing by. Hi, Ibrahim.
Good to see you. Ghanaian authorities have confirmed the arrest of 5 persons allegedly involved in a brazen attack on some Nigerians in Kumasi, and they will be charged to court soon. The Consular General of the Ghanaian High Commission, Mr. Bawa Rashid, has explained that such attack will not be allowed to break the long-term relationship between both countries. He was speaking when the chairman of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, visited his office to lodge an official complaint on the attack, which he describes as xenophobic. Mrs. Dabiri-Erewa is calling for the protection of the rights of Nigerians in Ghana and demanded an assurance from Ghanaian authorities that such attacks would not happen again.
What happened is an act of xenophobic attack against Nigerian traders in Ghana. And we know that your Inspector General has stepped in and your government has stepped in, but we need your assurances from Nigerian traders, in particular in Ghana, on their protection.
The President of Ghana has directed the Inspector General of Police, the Minister for National Security, and all the security agencies to be on top of the issue. As we speak now, the shops have been reopened. The Nigerians who are operating their shops in Kumasi have been assured of their security. They have been asked to go back to do their duties without fear of being molested or harassed by any person in the region. As we speak, some Ghanaians who were involved in this act have been arrested and they will be placed before court because it is a matter which the President of Ghana will not allow to happen to dampen the spirit of excellent relation that exists between Ghana and Nigeria.
In another development, 14 persons have been arrested by officials of the Department of Petroleum Resources at the National Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) for operating illegal outlets for the sale of liquefied petroleum gas in the Federal Capital Territory. DPR officials explained that the owners of the retail gas outlets were operating without necessary permits, thereby constituting hazard to the people. The area controller of DPR, Mr. Buba Abubakar, said those arrested in the Lokogoma-Galadima axis of the FCT will soon be charged to court.
It's a raid to sanitize the nation's Federal Capital Territory of illegal gas outlets, which appear to be a lucrative business on most streets around the Lokogoma-Galadima axis in the Federal Capital Territory. A few months ago, officials of the Department of Petroleum Resources sealed most of the gas plants here, but it appears that caution fell on deaf ears as the gas plants continue to operate legally. Some owners of the gas plants were arrested after questioning. The situation was not any different at other sites visited, but the officials of the DPR insist that this must stop.
So far we have visited about 15-16 retail outlets and plants, and out of 14-15 we were able to seal about 14 that were operating illegally. So that's actually the reason why we went out today, to make sure everybody has a permit to operate. If you don't have permit, as we said earlier, you should come to the office and with the necessary requirements, you get your permit so that you'll be able to operate your LPG. We are looking at the safety of the people, the lives and property. And by the time you come to the office, we'll be able to tell you that you need this, you need that, to be able to have a retail outlet.
This lady who sells the product for her boss speaks of how he was asked to regularize his documents if he must continue to operate.
When they want us, then our organ needs to go to the office. And he went there, which they asked him to bring some things, some files and some documents, and which he did. And he said they asked him to open, but they have not come to come and remove this.
While the 14 persons arrested will be charged to court soon, officials of the DPR insist that its set guidelines must be adhered to.
As Nigeria struggles to check the increasing cases of collapsed buildings, the use of polymer-modified concrete has been advocated as a means of achieving buildings with greater certainty in durability and security. This proposal was made by a professor of building, Bala Mohammed, while delivering a paper in Abuja. Professor Mohammed is optimistic that the use of polymer-modified concrete will reduce building collapse and check wastage of materials. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The Vice-Chancellor, Deputy Vice-Chancellors and senior management staff of Bayes University make their way into the hall for the university's professorial inaugural lecture series. After the opening prayer and the national anthem, the Vice-Chancellor sets the tone for the event.
The title of his lecture, Building Collapse and Builders in Shackles, Research Efforts on Polymer-Modified Concrete as Way Out, is, as you have heard, eye-catching and very apt for today's challenges and the way of addressing some of the concerns of the public, given the recurrent incidences of building collapse in Nigeria.
I humbly welcome you all.
A professor of building, Bala Mohammed, delivers the inaugural lecture.
The crux of the matter is in the fact that cement concrete, unknown to many, this cement concrete you are seeing in its normal condition has quite a number of limitations which inevitably affect its general performance. Many are not aware. This includes delayed hardening. To experts, the time taken for concrete to develop the required strength is too much.
With the recent rise in the number of collapsed buildings in the country, he believes that the solution lies in the use of polymer-modified concrete.
While much has been done, more is needed. These initiatives could pave way towards achieving buildings with greater certainty in durability and security against undue collapse. In addition, not only properties and innocent lives could be saved through these developments, but nations yearning for the provision of shelter for all could be fully strengthened through huge savings.
According to Professor Bala Mohammed, polymer-modified concrete can withstand fire and has an increased lifespan. He also advocates that every building must have a custodian who should be held responsible in the event of a collapse. Perhaps the submissions at this lecture would be worth looking into to curb the incessant building collapse and in turn save lives. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.